Good evening. Good evening. How are y'all doing tonight? Christy, it is not afternoon. It is evening. What's up, everybody? Let some of these guys file in here. We got a few things to talk about, both with the threat tonight, and we'll also focus a little bit on what could happen tomorrow evening as well. Now, a lot of people have been asking us about tomorrow evening. We'll go ahead and give you the update on that as well. So as we have some more people file in here, all right, go ahead and get started here. So as of right now, we do still have the severe risk in effect for this evening. The majority of what we have said earlier still remains. We're waiting on the cap to break or to weaken for storms to go up. We do have a couple new models that have come in between the afternoon and now time frames. So looking at the new data, should I say, we're looking at new data here. The latest HRRR model, which is a model that can output potential radars at certain points. If you go ahead and zoom in here to this model, we're going to go ahead and run this through the evening. So as of right now, the HRRR model this morning didn't really show much in the way of any storms forming in the state, whereas the NAM did. Well, the NAM still shows storms, and now the HRRR is now kind of showing these storms as well. So if we go ahead and run this model through the evening, this is valid at 6 o'clock, 6:15. Go ahead and move this forward to 7, 8, 9. We start to see some storms start to pop up here. There may be an isolated cell down here near Detroit area. That's been pretty consistent on models. That's not really expected to do much of anything. But the main bulk of the storms will now start to form up by the Muskegon, Big Rapids, Grand Rapids area, and that will push off to the east-southeast with more storms firing across the area from Big Rapids all the way down to much of Detroit. This is 1 in the morning, just after midnight. So a pretty late night threat. This is 2 in the morning. It becomes more organized. 3 in the morning, pushes off to the south and exits the state here with just some lingering showers around for about 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning time frame. That cap we still have on the atmosphere is still holding firm. So we're kind of waiting for that to break. It has weakened a little bit between about noon and now. So it is weakening. As we get into the nighttime hours, that cap will continue to weaken. And at this point in time, we're starting to see some clouds, some cumulus clouds, try to start going up here in certain areas of the state. What the cap is doing is cutting the cumulus clouds from growing taller and taller in the atmosphere. It basically just puts a cap in the atmosphere and the cap on the potential in general. So as that cap weakens, as it gets to the evening into the sunset towards the midnight hours, that cap will be at its weakest. That's going to be where storms are going to be firing up the most. So it's really looking right now like a late night threat. We'll go ahead and say from 10 p.m. through about 4 or 5 in the morning. So if you're up in the Big Rapids, Muskegon areas, you could see storms start firing up here right around the 10 p.m. to midnight time frame. But if you're in the very southeast portion of the state and you're in Monroe or the South Metro Detroit area, you're going to have storms pretty much through the 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning time frame would be possible with those. So hazards. Now, the cap is still in place. If the cap weakens and storms go up, that cap is still slightly in place, but storms can break through that cap. But because that cap is still in place, it's what we call an inversion. What that does is create the updraft, can't really reach the surface very well. So these storms may become elevated. What that means is the updraft can reach the surface, and if you want to see damaging winds and any type of tornadic threat, we want to have those updrafts on the surface. And right now, clicking on some of these forecast X-rays that we call them soundings, but we call them X-rays here to simplify it. Clicking on some of these forecast soundings, we do see a capping inversion still showing up on the lowest levels of the atmosphere. It's a weak inversion, so it is possible that isolated storms may break through and become surface-based, and that's why you see that 2% tornado and 15% damaging wind threat from the SPC. But I will go ahead and point that out. If that inversion holds through the evening, we're going to mainly see elevated storms with a lot of lightning, a lot of loud thunder, and mainly a large hail threat. I would say if that is the case. If we can break that cap and the cap erodes completely, surface-based instability is there. I'll go ahead and take a peek at the model here. If storms can attach themselves to the surface, so here's our radar here at 2 in the morning. We go ahead and flip down here to our CAPE or instability product. You're going to see it down here. You're going to have a lot of CAPE still available for these storms to fuel off of. You're also going to have a few instances here of some what we call supercell composite, so damaging winds, some large hail, and maybe some tornadoes possible. And our tornado parameter is still there as well, mainly in the southeast corner of the state. Go ahead and back this up a few hours. We do have this present throughout the state throughout the night, but storms may not be able to tap into that. They have to become surface-based. So that's going to be dependent on if that capping inversion does prevent storms from becoming surface-based. So with that being said, again, timing anywhere from 10 p.m. through about 4 a.m. So 10 p.m. in the north part of the state and 4 a.m. in the very south and southeast portions of the state. The main areas are going to be anywhere between Muskegon, Grand Rapids, down toward Lansing, down towards Coldwater, and eastward. So Kalamazoo, looking at Berrien County, Cass County, down there in the very far southwest corner of the state, you guys may escape this threat altogether, which is great news for you guys down there. But overall, the threat does appear to be pretty much aligning with our thoughts earlier, as well as the SPC's thoughts, where it's going to be further east in the state versus west or north. So the highest coverage of storms right now, you're going to see this on the radar in front of you, is going to be in the eastern half of the state. So Flint, Detroit, Lansing, all the way down to Ann Arbor, Adrian, Monroe County, up into the thumb. Talking Saginaw, we're talking Lapeer, St. Clair counties, Macomb, Oakland, Livingston, those areas are going to have the highest threat. So with that being said, the slight risk from the SPC is still in effect. And again, the cap is still holding strong. It is weakening ever so slightly, and it will continue to weaken as we get into the overnight hours. And that's when we expect storms to fire up. And again, if that capping inversion is in place still, which the models do have a slight inversion there, the storms will be elevated. But if any storm can break down to the surface, you're going to see the case of damaging winds as well as isolated tornadoes being possible. Now, going into tomorrow. Tomorrow is highly dependent on how tonight plays out. Currently, there is a marginal, which is level 1 out of 5. There is a low-end risk per the SPC for a severe threat tomorrow in South Michigan. What I mean by South Michigan, anywhere south of Grand Rapids, anywhere south of Flint. That is South Michigan. It's going to be for all hazards, damaging wind, large hail, and tornadoes. There does appear to be a slight cap tomorrow, but the cap does appear much more breakable tomorrow evening. So tomorrow does intrigue me personally. I'll probably be out chasing it. Looking at some model runs here, I'll go ahead and show you guys this NAM 3 model here. Go ahead and flip over here. Go ahead and look at the NAM. I can figure out how to switch this back. I got to go back. Hold on. Give me 1 second to pull this up. There we go. I want to look at Michigan. There we go. All right. So the radar product, this is the NAM 3 model, and we can kind of look at tonight as well. The NAM 3 might be overdoing the response of the storms tonight. We go ahead and run this through tonight. We're going to see a pretty big blob of storms fire up over the Big Rapids area and push to the south. This is technically 1 a.m., but again, we're kind of leaning toward the HRRR solution at this point just because it has a better handle on the atmosphere. But as we get into the tomorrow evening time frame, we're going to go ahead and zoom this forward here. This is 6 p.m. 6 p.m. tomorrow. We're going to see these storms develop up here in the Saginaw area, just north of the instability gradient. Those will push off to the south-southeast. And what that does is, as it moves off to the east-southeast, we do have some more storms firing up anywhere from Ann Arbor all the way down here toward Kalamazoo. So with that being said, looking at a few of these products here, we do have a lot of surface instability available. We have some tornadic as well as some supercellular products available here for these storms. Now, the cap does appear to be weaker tomorrow, so we have a better chance of storms. But again, highly dependent on how tonight plays out. If there is a lack of storms tonight, it will help tomorrow's severe chances greatly. But if we have a widespread severe threat tonight with storms hanging around through the morning hours, it may be difficult to not only get these storms tomorrow, but it also may knock down our heat indexes tomorrow as well. So keep an eye on that. With that being said, I'll go ahead and flip back over here to the evening model here from the HRRR. and take a few questions. I do believe the new HRRR model is running in. Yes, it is. The new HRRR model is now running out. All right, so we have some new data coming in. This model updates every hour, so that's what we like. That's why we like the HRRR. We'll go ahead and run this through the evening show, see what it says. We do have some cells developing. This is 11 p.m. tonight. This is midnight. We do have some cells over Detroit, as well as Grand Rapids and Lansing. This is midnight. 1 o'clock in the morning, 2 o'clock in the morning, 3 o'clock in the morning. Whoops. So it's only loaded until 3 o'clock in the morning. So that is, we're going to have to wait for that to load up. All right. Any questions, guys? There's probably a lot of questions here. I do apologize if I'm not getting to all of them. There is 400 people in this chat room, and I'm not going to get to them all, but I'll answer the ones that seem that stick out to me. All right. I would say, Aaron, based off the latest models, Big Rapids would have a bigger chance of being affected tonight. So be aware tonight. I know we talked a little bit in Messenger, but definitely be aware tonight for Big Rapids. Macomb County, early on in the evening, probably closer to midnight. When I say early, it's maybe it'd be late, but right around midnight. Yes, tomorrow's risk could get upgraded. Storm streams, I would see that being possible, but again, it's going to be dependent on how tonight plays out. So Hillsdale County looking mainly closer to the 2-3 o'clock in the morning time frame for you guys. Albion, same story, 2-3 o'clock in the morning. Monroe County, again, probably 2 to 4 in the morning. Yes, Detroit is launching. In fact, they may have already launched a balloon. I'm going to go ahead and take a peek at that. Detroit will launch what they call soundings, which is basically X-ray in the atmosphere. We get real-time data here from Detroit. I want to see if they have that out. They were supposed to launch at 8 p.m., so I'll see if that's updated. It probably isn't. It takes a little bit to get data back, but that'll be coming out here momentarily. So we'll have some more data to go over and see how big that cap actually is. Go ahead and see if I can pull this up really quick and see if they have it uploaded, which I doubt they do. It's loading up. All right. Jackson severe, possibly. The highest threat's going to be right on the Jackson line, 127 line and east is going to be your slight risk. Timing on that's going to be mainly after midnight. So here's something I want to point out here. So really tonight, I do expect there to be some instances of damaging winds. We may get a storm, try to rotate. I think my gut feeling is really telling me these storms are probably going to be hail producers and lightning producers versus the damaging winds and tornadic producers. So if hail and lightning doesn't bother you, go to sleep. Okay. I will say definitely if you have alerts or have weather radios, leave those on for sure. Warnings are definitely possible tonight for mainly hail and wind, but I would not be shocked if this threat tonight remains mainly hail. So I would not lose sleep over the tornado threat tonight. It's not very high. It's not impossible, but it's not very high. All right. Nothing has been updated yet for, or has it? No. Okay. Nothing yet for the soundings, the balloon launches. So we'll have to wait, keep an eye on that and see what happens. But yes, that is expected to. All right. We have some new data here. We expect that balloon launch to be available for visual or for viewing here next hour or so. But now we have this new model coming out. It's now out to 4 a.m. We do have some robust storms over the Detroit metro area, all the way from Lansing into Flint, Saginaw, all the way through the Lenawee and Monroe counties. Let's look at our CAPE here. Plenty of CAPE available for these storms. How about our supercell and tornado parameters? A little bit there. So I'm going to take a peek really quick at some of the new soundings on this. and see if that capping inversion is still there. Because if that inversion is still there, it doesn't matter how much cape we have on the surface, doesn't matter how much tornado parameter or supercell parameter we have. If there's that inversion, it's not going to matter. Go ahead and load this up real quick. Yes, Matthew, I do believe the cap will be broken enough for storms to get up. I don't think it will be broken enough to get storms to be surface-based on a widespread basis. It's possible in certain areas, so we're going to keep an eye on it closely. We'll be here tracking it all night, so if anything does go severe, we're going to go live. So if you guys are late night owls, we're going to be here tracking it, so look for our live stream. If anything does go severe, we'll be here live. All right, take a peek at this really quickly. Zoom in here to the 4 in the morning time frame and take a peek at, let's say, Monroe County here. I'm pulling up the sounding here. I'll see if I can show you guys what I'm talking about. Yeah, it's a very slight. I'll put it that way. The inversion / cap is very, very weak at this point. So I would not be shocked if these storms do become a little surface-based in areas. Go ahead and stop sharing the screen. I'll go ahead and pull this up. I'm not sure how good you guys are going to see this. Hopefully you guys can make it out, but I will try to explain this as best as possible. You're going to look at this and you're going to go, huh? That's okay. There's a lot of data on this page. Do you guys see it? Did it not go through? Did it not go through, guys? Okay. Let's try this again. And my computer's glitching. So I guess we're going to scratch that idea. We will just go ahead and scratch the idea altogether. I was going to try and show you what the capping inversion looked like, but I'll just go ahead and leave it at that. So it's a very weak cap at that point in time at 4 in the morning. So again, storms with the instability present may become surface-based. And here's 5 a.m. So by 5 a.m., you're looking Lenawee, Monroe, Washtenaw, and Jackson counties getting hit pretty hard with this model here. So overall, go ahead and run this model through, looking at 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, midnight, 1 in the morning, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right. So pretty much Grand Rapids up to Big Rapids, Saginaw, Lansing, Jackson, Flint, Detroit, Port Huron, Bad Axe. You guys are all under the threat tonight. So with that being said, again, is it not showing it? Oh my goodness. Is this broken? All right, let's try this. There we go. There we go. Let's go ahead and run this through one more time. All right. Starting at 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, midnight, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So pretty robust storms forming up here after midnight for the majority of central and east central parts of lower Michigan. And again, the main hazard with this, I'd say, is going to be hail. But if that capping inversion does weaken, we'll have a threat for damaging winds and an isolated tornado in the state. It's going to be mainly east of 127, so anywhere Jackson east. So Lenawee County, Washtenaw County, Livingston County, Shiawassee County, up towards the Saginaw area, and then points eastward into the Thumb, and then down south into Metro Detroit, down to the border of Ohio and Monroe County there. You guys are all in that highest threat for the robust surface-based storms. All right, guys, questions? Yes, the SPC does currently show a 2% risk for tornadoes on the eastern half of the state. The next SPC update is in 40 minutes. So if anything does change significantly with that, we'll go ahead and give an update on that. But we don't expect that to change any at all. All right, guys. Questions. All right, let's see here. Yes, you do have a threat in Macomb County, whether it's elevated or surface based, it's going to have a severe threat. Elevated storms carry hail threats as well as lightning and heavy rain. Surface based storms carry all hazards tonight. Mainly wind would be the hazard with surface based storms, and then hail would be your next hazard, and then tornadoes would be your third hazard. Yes, Genesee is in that. No, this will not go enhanced. I highly doubt it'll go enhanced. 1% chance. If any watch does get issued, it'll probably be a severe watch. And it'll probably come closer to midnight. So we're not going to know that until the SPC, just knowing the cap is in place, and storms will have probably a hard time breaking that cap initially. They're probably not going to issue any type of watch or any discussion of watch until we actually have storms that are firing up and have become severe. They need to have an idea of how these storms are going to interact with the atmosphere today. So with this question, it says, if not surface instability, what is causing the lift for any elevated storm? So there is a warm front nearby that's going to get storms up and going, that can get storms up and going. But what's going to fuel those elevated storms is elevated instability. We do have a lot of instability, not only on the surface, but also in the mid and upper levels of the atmosphere. We have a very fat cape profile today. So it's on the surface, but it's also in the air 5,000, 10,000, 20,000 feet in the atmosphere. So storms that do not become surface-based still have all that instability up in the atmosphere to produce hail. It's just not going to be on the surface to get the wind gusts down to the surface or get any type of rotating updraft or mesocyclone tornado threat down to the surface. It'll remain up in the atmosphere. All right, Jackie. Surface-based is essentially when the storm has the updraft can tap in to instability here on the surface. It also can have the updraft, because the updraft is on the surface, that updraft can rotate if it's a supercell, produce tornadoes. But when you have this inversion, basically, when you go up in the atmosphere, it basically kinks off that updraft so it can't reach the ground or the surface for the instability. So at that point is what we call elevated. So elevated storms are when they have that kink in the updraft that prevents any type of wind or rotation to reach the ground. I hope that explains it. No, guys, for those of you asking for tornadoes and tornado watches, the overall tornado threat tonight is very low. I go off on a limb and say that tornado threat will be a little bit higher tomorrow night than tonight. Tonight, I think it's going to be mainly a hail and then potentially a wind threat. The cap is basically a lid on the atmosphere. Think of it as a boiling pot of water. You're cooking noodles for mac and cheese or whatever, or pasta or Alfredo, whatever. You're cooking noodles on the stove. You put water in the pan. You turn the heat on. You put the lid on that pan. The cap in the atmosphere is that lid on the pan. The water, when it starts to heat and boil, is our atmosphere. For the storms to become strong to severe, you want to have that lid off the atmosphere to let the water or the updrafts rise. You want it to bubble over. When there's a lid on the atmosphere, it doesn't allow that. That's what we call the cap. Livingston County, Westland. So Westland, Livingston County, hail's your main threat, wind secondary threat. Tornadoes possible. I don't think it's a high threat tonight. Time frame for you guys after midnight, closer to 2, 3 in the morning. Tomorrow, 5 and after. Yeah, Shauna, be prepared tomorrow night about 5 o'clock and after from Ann Arbor. Again, it's going to be highly dependent on how tonight plays out. That'll affect tomorrow's threat. But yes, be prepared tomorrow evening if you're anywhere along I-94 and maybe up toward I-96, toward the Flint and Grand Rapids areas. Yes, Ricky, flooding is a threat tonight. So we did have a lot of storms this morning up in the Thumb, up in the North Metro Detroit area. So flooding, if there's any recurring flooding in the same areas, it will be a threat tonight for sure. So definitely be aware for that threat as well. We don't really talk about the flooding threat as much as we do like the wind, hail, and tornadoes, but there is definitely a threat for flooding as well. Manistee County, I wouldn't expect anything that far north. Let's see here. Midland County severe, possibly. It's hard to tell at this point where any particular area may see a severe storm. All I can tell you is the atmosphere, mainly on the central and eastern parts of the state, is favorable for it. Yes, Drew, the hail threat tonight will be stronger than this morning's hail threat. So it will be stronger, yes. Away around 2 a.m. Yeah, that'd be about right around that time frame, give or take an hour or two. Storms may train over. If the latest model here is correct, storms may actually train over Lenawee County for an hour or two. So it may be a loud, maybe gusty, and maybe severe. And it also is probably going to dump a lot of rain here if this model is coming to fruition tonight. All right, cap is weakening. Yes, it is. I've seen a lot of people say this, watch it be downgraded. I would not be shocked if they did, honestly. Just given the modeled capping inversion would keep it mainly a hail threat. I wouldn't be shocked if they downgraded, but I don't think they will, just given the amount of uncertainty. But also on some of these models, the cap is also pretty weak through the evening. So it's not going to surprise me if the storms do become surface based and pose that risk for damaging winds and tornadoes as well. I don't think they're going to downgrade it. I think they'll probably maintain the slight risk. They may trim the marginal risk a little bit further east. I know they extended it further west this afternoon, but they may extend that or cut that further east like they had it originally this morning. Hillsdale, St. Joe, Monroe. So Hillsdale, Monroe County is looking mainly after midnight, closer to 2 a.m. time frame. St. Joe County for tomorrow, you'd be in the threat. But again, I really can't answer too many specific questions about tomorrow. Just know that you are in the marginal risk for tomorrow. We'll have an update tomorrow morning on the page for you guys. Our focus right now is going to be on tonight. But again, tomorrow does look interesting if it can play out, if tonight's doesn't affect it too much tomorrow. But yes, St. Joseph County and St. Joseph area is in that marginal risk for tomorrow. Same thing, Christy, for Paw Paw. I can't really get too specific, but you are in that threat tomorrow. Muskegon, right around. There's a gnat flying around me. Thought I got him. Muskegon, right around the, I'd say 10 to 12 tonight time frame. And then what you can expect would be probably mainly just going to be a hail threat up there. It might be gusty, and the tornado threat is very, very low. There's a gnat flying around me. I can hear him buzzing. Might be a mosquito or a small mosquito. I'm not really sure. Checking out radar here, making sure nothing's popping up in the state yet. We do have some activity up in the thumb, but that's very minor. Nothing's popping up yet across the state. As that sun goes down, the cap will weaken. So we're kind of watching on these cumulus clouds, seeing if they can hit that cap and try to break through it. But we'll see what happens here next hour or two. If you guys haven't already hit that like button on the stream, we would appreciate that. The cap currently is staying with us. Yes, Nicole, the cap is currently staying with us. It will weaken and potentially erode in spots across the state. In those certain spots, it does erode. Some damaging winds and maybe a tornado threat would develop. But I would say the main threat tonight is going to be hail, just given the amount of capping inversion we're seeing on the models for right now. Enough lightning for power outages. If any lightning does strike any like telephone wires or stuff like that, definitely possible. There's probably going to be a lot of lightning tonight, guys. There's a lot of instability. We had instability showing up at 8,500 joules of surface-based CAPE up in the Tri-City area, so Saginaw Bay City. You guys were reaching record levels of instability today up there. So the atmosphere is juiced. The instability can fuel storms, but also lightning. So it may be a pretty intense lightning show tonight, guys. I have a lot of comments. I am so far behind. I apologize, guys. I'll go ahead and get updated down here to the very bottom. All right, I just skipped a lot of questions here, so I do apologize. All right, 40 asks, why is the hail the main threat? So mainly just because the strength of the updrafts, they'll be fueled by upper level instability. We have a large amount of what we call ML cape, mixed layer cape. We call it ML cape. That is one of the fuels for hail, as well as a cold pool, we call it, in the upper atmosphere, way up in the very upper levels of the atmosphere. It's cool air that can feed on hail. So when hail goes up and down the updrafts that are really long and stretched and really tall, those storms will have the best potential for large hail. The updrafts tonight are expected to be 40, 50, 60,000 feet in the atmosphere. When you get those really tall updrafts, you're going to have a hail threat with it. So that's why we expect it. And then mainly just because we also have wind shear for organization of updrafts, but we also have that, like I said, the instability in the upper levels and also the mixed layer and the mid layers to promote the hail growth. How do storms tonight affect tomorrow? So if we have a huge widespread squall line come through the entire state, it'll most likely knock any boundary south of the state and maybe stall it. That boundary is expected to stall right along the border of Michigan, Ohio, and Indiana, and it's expected to work back north during the afternoon tomorrow. That's going to be the focus for storms tomorrow. But if we have a huge squall line that comes through the state, it may bump that boundary and stall it to the south. That's best left for a wait and see scenario, but that's my concern for tomorrow. If we get bumped south with that boundary, we're not going to not only see storms tomorrow, but we're not going to see the heat either, because that warm front is what causes that heat. So if it stalls, no heat for us. Yes, nerdy guy, 48,500 cape was showing up on mesoanalysis earlier. Whether that was actually measured, I can't answer that, but I can tell you on mesoanalysis, which is real-time data, everything was pointing to a very record-setting or borderline record surface-based cape reading up there today. Looking back here at the sounding archive to see if they've updated the 00Z, which is 8 p.m. I'm hoping they did. Nothing has been updated yet. I anxiously await to see how strong the cap is in Detroit Pontiac area. All right, back to some questions here. What is your main? I just lost a comment. What would I do if they issued a high risk? Okay, I'll make a bet with you. If this goes high risk, I'll do the ice bucket challenge with pickles. I'll freeze pickles. I'll freeze pickles and I'll dump it on me frozen. No, it's not going high risk, guys. It's not going to go moderate. It's very unlikely to go enhanced. It's going to stay slight or be marginal. All right, I saw a question here. What time, Chris, flying out there? It's possible you could get delayed, although most storms should be south of you by like 4 or 5 in the morning, so you should be good by then if it's that early. Level of threat is slight risk, level 2 of 5. It's not a very high-end risk, but the atmosphere is definitely juiced. Hail, lightning, gusty winds, definitely possible. I don't think the tornado threat's too high tonight, but it's not going to be completely zero, so pay attention. All right, look at some questions here. I knew somebody asked me a question here. I was trying to find it again. All right, no, I'm going to go ahead and skip it, I guess. I apologize. I'm missing a lot of these questions. So many comments are flying in here. I don't want to get too far behind. Yeah, the dew points right now are in the mid to upper 70s. It did touch 80 as a dew point, which is why we saw the heat index up towards 100 to 110 today in certain spots in southern Michigan. So, yes, Cape right around 2,000 to 3,000 for anything substantial. Yes, so we like to see Cape over 1,000 for severe storms. Tonight we have 4,000 or 5,000, so it's a significant amount of instability here. Don't you dare waste pickles. Okay, give me something else to do. I'll do olives. How about that? The pickle bucket challenge. Oh, man. Okay, yeah, there is a flood risk. I already covered this briefly, but yes, there is a flood risk tonight with any storms that train over the same areas. Definitely possible. There's a lot of moisture out there. As we said, we just talked about, the dew points are at 80. What we call PWAT values, basically what we call plot, precipitable water. those are your rainfall rates. It's very, very high. We like to see those right around the 1 to 1.5. Tonight they're 1.9, pushing 2. It's really, really moist and really, really juiced for not only storms, instability, but also heavy rainfall. Yeah, no, it was you. Okay, what is your main focus? My main focus tonight is going to be on storms that form around or just, we'll say between 10 and 4 a.m., 10 p.m., 4 a.m. The main focus for me that I'm kind of zoning in on is going to be hail. I don't think there's going to be too many storms that can become surface based, although I could be wrong. I just don't know. I want to wait and see. But judging off the data I have at my fingertips, I'm thinking it's going to be mainly a hail threat with only isolated instances of damaging winds or maybe some broad rotation with some of these storms. I don't think it's going to be a very widespread wind threat or tornadic threat. It might be a widespread hail threat and definitely going to be an intense lightning show. So these are going to be loud storms tonight. But my main focus is going to be on hail threat through the evening. Marissa, where are you at? Black olives are acceptable. All right, I'll do black olives. No, Helen says no olives. All right. Pick something, guys. Pick something. Yeah, Trisha, I can do that. So overall, what we're going to recap here, storms are expected to fire up. Go ahead and look at the model here. Storms are expected to fire up right around the 10 to 12 tonight, 10 p.m., 12 a.m. time frame, and they're going to last throughout the evening and the overnight hours to the sunrise hours between 4 and 5. Looking at some models here, this is 11 o'clock tonight. This is midnight. We do have some cells developing over Detroit and also Grand Rapids and Lansing. These will continue to develop, push off to the east-southeast, and grow more numerous. So we have more development up by Big Rapids, up by Ludington. Those may be hail producers, but mainly the severe risk is going to be down in the south and east part of the state with these bigger storms near Lansing over toward the Flint area, into Metro Detroit, into Ann Arbor, into Lenawee County, into Monroe County, up into the Lapeer County areas as well. And that's going to be mainly going to be a hail threat, I think, with only isolated instances of damaging winds or any tornadoes. That's your recap. Then again, how these storms tonight play out will affect a severe threat potential tomorrow. We'll have to kind of wait and see. All right, we do have a sounding now from Detroit Pontiac. All right, all I'm going to say is there is still a slight cap, but it is quite weak. So Detroit Pontiac over by Detroit, you guys do have a little bit of a surface inversion there, but it's not significant. There's good shear and there's also good instability. There's most unstable cape is 4,295. So that's going to be at the lowest level, 909 millibar, which is a low level, right around 4,000 feet, 2 to 4,000 feet off the ground. That's where your highest instability is going to be at. On the surface, there's 1,500 surface cape. The mixed layer where your hail growth zone is going to be just under 3,000. Your wind shear, it looks sufficient as well. So overall, looking like a pretty decent night for hail. And looks like the lapse rate on the surface is terrible, just given that inversion. So this should be mainly, I would say mainly an elevated storm type of night. So I'd just continue to highlight the hail threat with only isolated instances of damaging winds. So glad to see that sounding. That kind of gave me some confidence now, saying hail will be the main threat tonight, which I'll go ahead and say that hail will be the main threat tonight. And then only isolated instances of damaging winds and tornadoes will be possible. All right. More questions, guys. There's a lot of comments here. I love to see the comments, but I cannot keep up, so I apologize. Ricky, yes. Whoops. If any tornadoes do develop, will they be brief spin-ups? Yes. They will be very brief, hard to detect, and be hard to pick out on radar. So, although I don't expect there to be many, if any, at all tonight. What counties do I think will be affected the most? I'm not going to go counties. I'm going to go areas. So Lansing area, I'm going to call some cities here. Lansing, Jackson, Flint, Ann Arbor, Fenton, Detroit, Lapeer, Macomb, Monroe, Adrian. Mainly those areas. Excuse me. Yes, summer. It'll be a very good, very, very good lightning show tonight. If any storms can break that cap. Port Huron, possibly. Yes, Port Huron. I say, yeah, definitely a possible threat over there. You are in the slight risk. What is on the menu for New Baltimore? I gotta refresh my brain on where that's at. One second, I'm looking this up. Macomb County, yeah, you guys are in the threat tonight. The menu tonight is gonna be mainly hail, lightning, and damaging winds are possible, as well as an isolated tornado. But overall, it's gonna be a hail threat tonight. It is still very muggy outside. That is correct. Sun's down, still oppressive. Yep. Tomorrow could be worse with the heat index, depending on if that front does come back north. So keep that in mind as well. We could have higher heat indexes closer to 110, 115 widespread. In fact, there are heat advisories now in effect for most of southern Michigan, should I say. It's been a very busy stretch of 2 days here at MSC. We've been pumping out post after post after post, whether it's flooding threat, whether it's heat, whether it's severe updates. It's just, there's a lot going on here in Michigan. Kalamazoo area, you guys are technically in a severe threat, although I think the threat for Kalamazoo is pretty much very, very low at this point in time. I would expect the threat to be higher off to your east toward the Jackson area. Malcolm County, yes, you are in the threat. As storms push off to the east-southeast toward the Lansing area, Malcolm County, you'll be in the line there for when they first go up and develop. So hail will definitely be possible with you guys. Jackson, yes. Man, 3 people asked for Jackson in a row. Kennedy, yes, Jackson is in the threat tonight. Genesee County is in the threat as well. Berry County, you guys are too far east, in my opinion, to get any type of severe weather. Hillsdale County, you guys would be in the threat, although it may scoot you off to the east. We'll have to keep an eye on that, though. Just given the overall situation with the cap, I don't want to say too many specific borderline areas just because we don't really have a good handle on where storms are going to pop up and where they're going to head. So Hillsdale's kind of on that borderline where it could go either way. So I'll just say pay attention if you're in Hillsdale County. But I can say with confidence that over on the west side of the state, or Kalamazoo area, you guys would have a lower threat over there than Hillsdale. You too, Helen. St. Joseph County, again, technically you guys are in a severe threat tonight, although the threat is going to be highest off to your east. So I'd say very, very low threat over there. Am I going to be live the rest of the night? At this point in time, I don't see any storms developing, and I don't want to wait 4 hours on stream here just waiting. I'll take a power nap. I have not napped yet. But yes, I do plan to go live later on tonight if any severe storms do form. So look for our live. We actually do have a live already made and ready to go. It's on YouTube. So if you guys want to hang out in there and wait, it's up to you. But there's no telling when these storms are going to go. And again, if they go, we do expect them to eventually, but it could be closer to midnight. So I don't really see a point in staying out here for 3 hours straight, just kind of waiting around. Sanilac, Livingston, Clarkston. So all those counties, you guys are in the highest threat tonight. Mainly going to be hail and wind threat. Tornadoes are not likely, but they're not impossible. It's a low threat. Lenawee County as well. White Lake is included in that highest threat. Again, hail is going to be your main threat. Damaging winds your second threat, and then a very low chance for a tornado. Yes, Eric, great point here. I will be live tomorrow to talk about the threat. We'll go ahead and schedule it for, say, probably 10 or 11 o'clock in the morning, depending on how late tonight is. We'll have a good idea how tomorrow's going to play out by the morning hours. At least we should. But yes, we will be live tomorrow, and we'll have a forecast up as well tomorrow morning. We have not posted a forecast at all for Thursday. We've been kind of zoning in on the forecast for today, so we didn't want to drag attention to the next day. But yes, there is a severe threat. If tonight doesn't ruin it, there will be a severe threat tomorrow afternoon and evening. How's Hillsdale for tomorrow? You guys will be in a severe threat, but again, no specifics are going to be said regarding that until we know for sure there's going to be a threat at all, just because it's highly dependent on how tonight's storms play out. 40, I did not see your question. What is your question, man? I'll scroll back up here and try and find it. Yes, Dexter is still involved in the threat. I see it now. Dexter is in that threat. I do want to pull up here. I'll go ahead and show you guys two things. Hopefully this presents and you guys can see this a little bit better. Bam, there we go. Awesome. All right, this is the balloon launch that is the X-ray of the atmosphere. So this is Detroit Pontiac. Now you see this line here, this red line. If that bumps out and covers this black line here, that is your atmospheric cap. Now, as you can see, it's a very, very little overlap here where that red line intersects that darker line there, and that is your atmospheric cap. There's a very little surface inversion right there that's preventing these storms from becoming surface-based. It's very weak. Storms may, with the amount of instability, they may break that. Again, it's going to go either way. It's a very weak cap, and again, this is Detroit Pontiac, so up by the radar site. This is the sounding of the atmosphere from there. There's really good wind shear down here where my mouse is at. There's really good wind shear. 37 knots of 1 kilometer shear, quite impressive. 50 knots of 3rd kilometer shear, very impressive. And then 43 knots of 6 kilometer shear, very impressive with that. We do have good instability here. We have 1,413 surface cape. We do have 2,832 mixed layer cape. Very sufficient, and our most unstable cape throughout the atmosphere is up to 4,295, and that is going to be about 3,500 feet off the atmosphere. Our cloud heights are very low, and it looks pretty good, honestly. It's just two things: is the inversion here, and also our low level lapse rate. That's going to be just because of your cap there. So if that cap does erode further, the lapse rate will get better. So again, really good, and also the PW value. The observed PW, which the rainfall rate value, is 2.01. So it's approaching that 2 inches. So that's quite impressive. Any rain that does happen will be very, very heavy. All right. Go ahead and skip that and head over back to the model page here. I did want to take a peek. I know we have the new SPC out, so I'll stay on here about 10 more minutes. The SPC is about to release their latest day one outlook. We'll go ahead and stay on there for that, and we'll go ahead and hop off. And it's due at 9 o'clock, so we might as well stay on here and hang out and answer some more questions, have some fun here while we wait for the threat tonight. Go ahead and look and see if they've issued it. Sometimes they issue it early, so we'll go ahead and take a peek at that really quick to see if they have, and they have not yet. So with that being said, we'll go ahead and take some more questions, and just so you guys want to have some fun, we'll hang out and wait for the SPC here in about 10 minutes. I'll go ahead and present the SPC screen so you guys can see it, how I'm seeing it. There we go. All right, go ahead and pull up the day one outlook. I know it took me a wide shot, but that's all I can really do here. This slide updates first, so. Yeah, it does, Chris. It does look like a stock market graph. Monroe County, Hillsdale County, again, the threat tonight is going to be mainly hail, damaging winds, and as you're going to be your second threat, and then tornadoes are low-end risk for tornadoes tonight. So timing on that's going to be mainly after midnight, closer to 2 o'clock for you guys down there in Lenawee and Hillsdale. Diane, we have a subscriber group here. We talk a lot on Facebook here. So if you guys want to have some fun, subscribe to the page. We talk a lot in our group. I've been telling these guys I've been tired. I've on 4 hours of sleep, and they're all telling me, just go take a nap, dude. I'm like, nah, I can't do it. I just can't do it. I I do not like licorice. I'm sorry. I don't like it. Twizzlers, nope. Black licorice, nope. I'm just not a fan. I'm also allergic to wheat, so Twizzlers do have wheat, and I can't have those. But overall, I've had black licorice before I was allergic, and I can't stand it. Do you see storms starting to pop off near Warren? Let me take a peek. Those are in Ontario and most likely just due to outflow or advection from those storms that are currently in Ontario. Not going to be a threat. Yes, summer, I agree. Licorice is disgusting. All right, anything for cold water? Ypsi Ann Arbor. So Ypsi Ann Arbor, higher threat than cold water. Cold water, a lower threat. Hail and wind is your main threats tonight. Very low risk across the state for any type of tornado activity. You guys are on Reddit. Do this AMA. Ask me anything. I'm a storm chaser. Ask me anything. I keep telling the guys we need to hop on here and do a live podcast. It's gonna be a lot of fun for you guys to interact with us. Washington Township. All right. You guys don't have to get too specific with us. So if you want to give the county instead, we can give you a better idea. Washington Township, I have no idea where that's at. But if you say the county, I may have a good idea. I'll look it up though. When you guys ask us for your specific locations, it'd be better to use the county. So Macomb County tonight would be mainly a hail threat. Wind and tornadoes are unlikely, but it is a possibility if storms become surface based. It's a low threat. It's there, but it's not too high to be like, oh, I got to stay up all night and be concerned about it. No, nothing like that. It's a threat that's there, but it's not a very high threat. The heat feels like 10 Oscars. Where is Chandler when you need him, man? Where is Chandler when you need him? Oscar is Chandler's cat who seems to interrupt our streams when he's on here. So shout out to Oscar. All right, Jackson, Stockbridge, Lenawee. Again, all you guys are under the threat tonight, mainly after 11 to midnight. And the further east you are, the later it's going to be. Hail's your main threat, wind's your second threat, and a low threat for tornadoes does exist tonight. How much rain will Flushing get? I don't know. Flushing maybe up to a half inch to an inch. I just don't know. Depends on how these storms interact. Right now, we're kind of waiting for the cap to break, and that's going to give us a lot of clues when it does break, how the storms form, et cetera, et cetera. At this point, we don't have much confidence to say how much rain we're gonna get. But areas that do have training storms will get 1, 2, maybe 3 inches plus. It's a very moist atmosphere tonight. How are you not afraid of tornadoes? I honestly don't know. As a little kid, I will say, as a little kid, when I was in my bed at night and there'd be lightning and thunder, I would always call for my mom. I was deathly afraid of lightning. I was deathly afraid of thunder. And as I grew older, that fear turned into a fascination. And I've just been fascinated ever since. It really started back in 2010. If you guys are from the local area here in Monroe County, Dundee tornado, June 5th, June 6th, depends on what you want to recall it as. It's 2:13, 2:17 in the morning. So technically June 6th, there was a tornado in Dundee, 5 minutes from my house. That night really got me hooked on storm chasing, and I've just dedicated myself to learning all about meteorology, all about the weather, tornadoes, storm chasing. I've just been growing ever since in my knowledge. I've been interested in storm chasing since 2015. So that's how I got, I used to be deathly afraid of them, but that fear turned into a fascination, and here I am today. What is the worst food I have ever tasted? Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Sauerkraut. I'm gonna say sauerkraut. Maybe a close second of guacamole or avocado, but I say sauerkraut. What happened to our summer heat waves? We're in one. We're in one right now, Freedom. What are you talking about? This year, yeah, the pattern has been quite cool in terms of heat this year. That's probably do. I'm not really skilled to answer that question on a broad scale. That'd be an Alex question. Alex can probably answer that better than I can. But it probably has to do with what we call the Enzo phase. We just transitioned to a La Nina to an El Nino, and we do have some things in the atmosphere and the United States view that kind of affects our weather. And I think it's mainly just because of that we're getting the cooler than usual temperatures. Although El Nino usually creates warmer temperatures later into the year, so we may see warmer temperatures into the November timeframe. But again, that's historic data, and that's not a forecast. It's just historical data. And yeah, here's another question I can base this off of. So the typical transition from La Nina to El Nino is actually supportive of active severe weather. So that's why we're getting pretty significant severe weather events here in Michigan this year, is because that transition, the neutral Enzo into the strong El Nino phase. I know you guys probably have no idea what I'm talking about. Basically, La Nina is cooler ocean temperatures, and El Nino is warmer ocean temperatures. And when they fluctuate back and forth, it's usually on a 2 or 3 year cycle. We were in the La Nina for 2 or 3 years. Now we're transitioning from a neutral into an El Nino phase. When that happens, it affects our weather patterns in certain ways, and that's why we're getting these different patterns. It's an active pattern, historically speaking, when it transitions from a La Nina to an El Nino pattern. So when we're in that transition phase, we're getting active weather. All right, let's see here. What's up, guys? What's up, Rye? Wayne County, Livonia, Macomb Township. You guys are in the threat tonight. Let's take a peek and see if it updated yet. Not yet. Still waiting on the SPC to issue it. But yes, you guys are in the threat tonight. Damaging winds. Sorry, large hail is your first threat. Damaging winds is your second threat. Tornadoes is your third threat. Low end threat for tornadoes and wind. Mainly going to be a hail threat. Michigan does have its own tornado alley. There is a couple of them actually up near the Shiawassee County near Perry is a tornado alley. Down in Hillsdale and Lenawee counties, another tornado alley right there. Over on the western part of the state, I believe it's I want to say it's either Berry County or Allegan County. There's a few spots in those counties that tend to get more tornadoes than usual. But yes, there are little tornado alleys here in Michigan where tornadoes historically have happened in higher amounts than other areas. All right, there's a lot of comments here. I'm trying to keep up. Do you think the cape will break? You mean the cap? Cape is instability. It's not the cap. The cap is what cuts off updrafts from reaching surface cape. It's confusing. I know. The cap will most likely weaken enough for storms to go up. I'm not sure it'll break completely, which is why you're seeing that surface inversion on radar or on the the forecast soundings, which is why we're kind of mainly expecting an elevated nature of storms. But I do expect the cap to weaken to a point where we're going to have storms tonight. Hey, Joel's on here. What's up, Joel? I got to take my headphones out. I'll put my microphone so I can hear you. Give me 1 second, guys. There we go. Joel, you here?
Yeah, I'm here.
Hey, Joel, what's up?
Oh, not much. Just got done with dinner.
Awesome. What'd you eat?
Tacos.
Oh, man. Got taco watch out there.
So we have a lot of cap questions.
Yes, we do. We're just kind of chilling out right now, hanging for the SPC here any minute. We're going to go over that, and I was going to hop off here, but if you want to hang out for a little bit, I am down. I have nothing but free time right now.
Yeah, no, we could probably separate the stream so we could break back in when severe weather happens.
That's what I was thinking. I'm just going to hang out for the SPC here and then probably hop off here.
Yeah.
Lots of crap questions here. Yeah,
someone asked, like, how is our cape similar to that out west in storms today? Today specifically, I think our cape kind of rivals the cape that we see out west in bigger storms because it was up towards 6,000 earlier today.
There's actually a reading of 8,500 up in the Tri-Cities.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, that was insane.
Not in
Whether that was
Michigan.
accurate or not, yeah, not in Michigan. Whether that was accurate or not, I don't know, but that was
Probably is.
insane. I mean, given the dew points near 80 and temperatures up near 90, oh boy,
Right.
you know.
There's places in the world that see well over 10,000, like over in I think the Middle East, parts of Asia.
I was looking at the record temperature or the record cape earlier for USA, and I came up with 83, which was
Dang.
measured.
Yeah.
So we were rivaling here today what was forecasted or what was supposedly the record. So,
right. What
now,
is the Tri-Cities? Tri-Cities is in Iowa. Someone asked.
Have I been saying the Tri-Cities up in the? Okay, maybe I was confused. Hold on.
I think it's Quad Cities.
Yeah, I think you're right. I might have been confused there. It's been a long day, guys. I apologize. Either way, it's very juiced out there.
Oh, for sure. There's some storms starting to pop up in Macomb County.
Yeah, I saw somebody ask about that, but it's mainly looking like it's. I don't know. We'll see if those can hold together. Like, did you see the DTX sounding from 000?
Yeah. Yep. Owen posted it.
That cap is almost gone.
Yep.
So we'll see
Which
how that
makes
plays
sense
out.
given the sun's going down.
Right.
Yeah, Tri-Cities is in Michigan. Saginaw Bay City, Midland. Yep. Quad Cities is in Iowa.
Somewhere today in Michigan. I thought I saw somewhere in Michigan had 8,000, but it might have been Iowa. I'm thinking I heard that wrong, because up in the Tri-Cities today was mainly cloud cover, so I don't think it got up to that hot up there.
That's up where I am. It didn't reach 80 here in Mount Pleasant until I think 5 o'clock. So, because the clouds. We're right on that
down
one
here. I know down here we got close to the heat index where I was at was close to about 100 today, down here in Lenawee. So.
Oh yeah.
I think our dew point was right around the 76. The SPC is taking her sweet old time here. So there we go. There is your latest update. No change. We do have a slight risk of effect here. I'll go ahead and go through these on a little bit of a closer basis than what we're seeing.
Tornado risk stays for 2%.
Yes, it's actually expanded a little bit further east, I believe.
Yeah.
So let me go ahead and pull up, west. I would say west. We'll go ahead and pull up a little bit better view of that for you guys.
Say pull up Pivotal.
I'm going to pull up the partner website.
Oh yeah. Gotcha.
It's going to take a minute to load in, I think, but yeah, it's going to take just a second to load in.
Slight risk did not downgrade. It is sustained.
All right, we got to wait just for a second for this to load in. We'll go ahead and switch my screen over for you guys to see it. All right, go ahead and wait for this to load. Overall, no change. It looks like I don't see anything hatched. I don't see anything. The wind and hail threat. Looks like the wind has been tied down mainly to the southeast portion of Michigan from Flint to Detroit down toward Adrian. That looks to be the only change. I think they shortened the wind threat there to the very far southeast portion of the state. And they basically highlight what I've been saying to you guys this evening is basically storms will be mainly elevated, but if any storms can become surface-based, some wind gusts as well as a couple tornadoes could be possible, which is basically what I've been thinking as well. It's going to be dependent on how that cap will break or at least weaken some to get storms up and through that cap. It says impressive thermodynamic environment, warm mid-level temperatures, and residual capping may continue to inhibit robust development for several more hours this evening, but there are still indications that additional thunderstorms will be developed later tonight across lower Michigan as a weak mid-level perturbation. Never heard that term before. Over northern Minnesota and Wisconsin and southern Ontario moves eastward along the northern peripheral of the prominent upper ridging centered over the plains. If this convection develops, it should become severe given ample MU Cape, most unstable Cape, which you're looking at about 4,000 or 5,000. That's present, and they'll pose a risk for both large hail damaging winds as it spreads south-southeastward across the state tonight through early Thursday morning. Given favorable low-level wind shear and hodograph curvature, a tornado or two can also not be ruled out with any surface-based supercells. That is the SPC's wording, not mine.
Trying to figure out what word you used here.
Perturbation, Perturbation. I have never seen the SPC use that word.
Who wrote it?
Probably Broyle. No, Gleason.
Oh, okay.
I'm gonna do a quick copy paste search of this. I want to see what this means.
It's probably like an inset.
Anxiety.
It's probably like an inset of some sort.
Anxiety, mental uneasiness. What? Okay, deviation of a system, moving object, or process from its regular or normal state. That's what we call deviant. Yeah, deviant motion. All right. Yeah. I learned something tonight. All right, so there you have it.
One of my friends tuned in.
Which one?
Rise Against 11.
I was going to say hi to their name. I'm not sure what their name is.
That's
hi,
Justin.
Rise Against.
Yeah.
Hi, Justin. Still waiting for the new. All right, so the tornado risk has loaded. This is your updated 2% tornadic risk for the SPC. It does include Saginaw, Flint, Alma, Mount Pleasant, Grand Rapids, Lansing, Kalamazoo, Battle Creek as well, Adrian, Monroe, Detroit, Pontiac, so Lapeer, Sanilac, Macomb, Livingston, Oakland, Washtenaw, Wayne, Lenawee, Monroe, Hillsdale, Jackson, Calhoun, Ingham County, and Malcolm County included in this. I'm not really sure the counties up by you. Shiawassee County as well in that. Tuscola County as well. Then up here in the Mount Pleasant area, I'm not sure the county's names up there, but those are also included.
Isabella.
All right, Isabella County. All right, so there you have it. That's your 2% tornado.
Someone asked about rain.
Rain is definitely a threat tonight.
Rain we're looking at? I would say so, given the high PWatt values. We saw like 1.7,
Yeah.
1.8 earlier.
The DTX actually had 2.01.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, for reference, anything over
Yeah.
like 1.4, 1.5 is pretty high.
We get closer to 2, you're talking flooding rains. So
Yeah.
it's the heaviest rain is going to depend on where exactly storms fire, which we don't have much confidence on right now. But any areas that do happen to get under the training thunderstorms, repeated thunderstorms, will have that highest threat for flooding. It's just we don't know exactly where it's going to be at right now.
Yeah. Christy asked if there's a specific college you have to go to for this degree. For meteorology, you can get it at any college that has a program. I go to Central right now, and it's one of the only universities in the state that has a meteorology program. Some of the other bigger names are like Oklahoma, Penn State, Mississippi State, Wisconsin, I believe. So it means disturbance, that word that we were looking up. Someone put in the chat.
Got it.
Someone also said that word is me for real. Yeah, football starts tomorrow night. It's definitely a risk.
Holly says Weather Channel told her it was slightly raining, green on radar when there was multiple tornadoes, hail, high winds, and torrential downpouring. All I'm going to say is never really trust your radar app, whether it's the hourly forecast or the radar futurecast for it. It's based off model algorithms that could be old and updated very rarely. So I would not trust your model or your futurecast or your. I wouldn't trust weather apps too fully, if that makes sense. I'm getting tired. I'm losing my mind.
A lot of it's using like the same models that we use sometimes. So take it with like
Right.
a grain of salt.
Correct.
Somebody missed what college is. Yeah, so this is like a meteorology degree, for example. Like that's what I'm going for, and I can get it at like Central Michigan, for example, is one of the only colleges or universities in the state that has it. You can also go to big name schools like Oklahoma, Penn State, Wisconsin, and like Mississippi State, for example. So, and yes, 58 miles per hour is the classification for damaging winds. So your thunderstorm warning.
Yeah, gusty winds are 30 to 57. That'd be correct.
That'll get you a special weather statement.
How threaty is the threat overnight?
I like that.
It's a slight risk, level 2 of 5 in the eastern, southeastern part of the state. The overall threat is, we'll say, low to moderate, or low to medium, I guess I'll say. I don't want to use the term moderate just because there is a moderate risk that's actually a high-end threat, but it's not a high-end threat tonight. It's probably low to medium tonight.
Oh, we're probably. Did we get a new mesoscale update? We did.
Did we?
Okay. Yep.
An MD, you
The
mean? Or?
VTP.
Oh,
No,
VWP?
like on the mesoscale.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
I got you.
Or
I was going to say,
the
MD
mesoscale.
already?
No. It's still heavily capped across
We'll
most
see
of
how
the
it
state.
looks. The sun just set here for about 20 minutes, so we'll give it another hour or two and kind of get an idea. By 11 or midnight, we'll have a good idea of what's going to happen, I think.
Yeah. Supercell composite is 20 and higher for most of southeast Michigan, which anything above, I would say 4 is high.
We do have a new model run from the HRRR coming out. We do have the NAM coming out here again in another hour, actually closer to 45 minutes. But I'll take a peek here really quickly at the latest HRRR to get an idea of what that. The HRRR has really kind of uptrended in terms of firing storms off.
Yeah.
It was pretty dry most all day, and then it got to this evening and kind of started firing off these storms. So the 00Z is out. We're going to go run this through. Okay, it does actually have some development now across Ann Arbor areas here. This is 11 o'clock, so in 2 hours. So those storms in Macomb County might actually be the beginning of something. Now I'm looking at this radar here. In fact, looking at Detroit's radar, hold on. We do have development now over Macomb County.
Yep.
So, guys, we may actually be on here for quite some time. If this continues to develop, we'll stay on here. At least I will. I'm not sure what Joel has planned tonight, but I plan to be on here for quite some time. At least ready to be on here.
I might quote unquote chase. We'll see.
Okay.
Of course, there's not much to chase when it's dark.
Where did my GR2 go?
You might just have to type it in your search bar.
I did that. I found it now, but I did that before. Nothing popped up. So, all right. So I'm going to pull up my radar here. Go ahead and zoom in here for our. Go ahead and go one panel for right now. Go ahead and do baseball reflectivity, pull data, and take the Detroit radar. All right, that's set up. We're going to pull new data for Detroit. All right. So latest model on the SRRR, looking like it is going to start firing storms off this, what appears to be a boundary almost from earlier storms across the Ann Arbor area here. So if that does occur, that'll be between now and midnight. And those will push into Washtenaw, Wayne, Lenawee, Monroe counties, and it'll exit by 1 a.m. And then we do have more development off to the west over the Lansing, Grand Rapids area that does form and turns into a little bit of a bow echo there, actually, and pushes off to the east southeast.
That's
So
looking like what, 2 to 4 a.m., 2 to 6 a.m.
This right here is 3 a.m. That's 4. That's 5. That's 6, 7, 8. So all in all, looks like it's gonna be a pretty active night.
Yeah, if you guys have weather radios, I would definitely have them on tonight, just in case.
Definitely. I think the threat mainly is going to be for hail. Looking at the atmosphere right now, the storms that are going to fire, if anything does fire right now over the Ann Arbor area, Detroit Metro, the atmosphere, like we just looked at about an hour ago, is still capped. So it's going to be mainly just going to be a hail threat for right now. And we'll see if that can erode any further to get some wind down to the ground. We'll see about rotation on these storms. Again, if these storms continue to develop, go ahead and take a peek at those and figure out if we'll have any type of wind and tornado threat. But right now, it's going to be a hail threat for the short term. Joel, I'm going to go ahead and hop out of this stream really quickly. I do have another stream I had set up for the coverage of severe weather. I'll go ahead and combine it into this one, and I'll go ahead and edit the title on this. So give me 1 second. I'll be right back.
Okay. Hold on, I can present my screen really quick. I know you guys want to update on the radar, so I'll share it. Let's see if that pops up. Perfect. All right, there we go. All right, so Macomb County. Let's go zoom in on this. For reference, this is just Macomb County right now. It looks like there's some showers starting to pop up in Oakland County. But that's about it in terms of storms in Michigan. Actually, that storm popped up over portions of New Haven and New Baltimore and is now moving over portions of Lake St. Clair. But I know you guys are hearing some thunder right now. That'll probably be that storm right there and potentially this storm over here in southwestern Ontario. So, yeah, right now, nothing severe, nothing too crazy to point out other than a couple of showers and storms moving onto Lake St. Clair. And Ryan is back.
What's up? What's up? You can keep your radar up if you like.
Okay.
I'm going to go ahead and edit the stream here if I can. It's not letting me. Why?
The stream
Joel,
name?
Yeah, I can't edit the title of it.
Give me a second.
It blanks it out on StreamYard for me.
Oh, you can only update it on YouTube.
Okay, I'll go to Facebook and do it manually from the Facebook feed here.
Yeah, you might have to. Okay, 1 second.
All right, so I updated Facebook, the title of it at least. For right now. See if it actually does. It did. Okay, cool. So that's updated on Facebook. Can you do YouTube? I can try if not.
I just did. It said broadcast must be scheduled in the future and within 1 year. Shoot.
Interesting.
I mean, we could always stop and start again.
We got a lot of people in here. I don't want to do that necessarily, although we could. Let me see if I can do it myself manually here on my phone real quick.
Okay.
I don't even see us as live on YouTube for some reason. There it goes.
What do I do for work? I am in between jobs right now. I'm back up here at Central, so I'm going to school.
Yeah, he is a student, so his priority is on education right now.
Yes. I'll probably find a part-time job soon, though. Joel, are you a squirrel because I'm nuts for you? If that's my friend Ford, I laugh.
40 is your friend? I didn't know that.
I think so, yeah.
All right. I cannot edit this on YouTube, so I
Yeah, I
think the
can't.
best bet is like go ahead and just stop the stream. Go ahead and restart it. So, guys, we're gonna go ahead and stop the stream, but we're gonna come right back on. Just give us 5 seconds, 10 seconds. Look for a stream. Look for us to get situated. Give us time to edit the titles and stuff like that. Give us 1 or 2 minutes. We'll be back live here. So just give us a second. All right. We'll be right back.
We will be right back.